Welcome to the Crossed Lines podcast, where stories of redemption and resilience come to life. This podcast gives women a place to share raw, unfiltered stories of their darkest moments and the journeys that led them to healing, hope, and a second chance.
Welcome. You guys, I'm so excited. This is our very first podcast
Wow.
for the Cross Lines podcast.
Oh, yeah.
When I saw that name, I knew it was for us.
Yeah, I agree.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. So I have been nervous all day, excited all day. I've been up since 2:30. So poor Melissa's been up all night with a sick kid. And so anyway, thank y'all for coming.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank
And
you for having
Diane,
me.
I just want to introduce you. It's Diane Switzer. She's one of my bestest volunteers at Crossroads Ministry.
Wow.
She's
Thank
on
you.
my board. She's my treasurer. She comes in and checks our bank statement, makes sure everything's okay. She's a mother, a grandmother. She has some of the most awesome grandkids you've ever seen.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
And she has her own business for 40 years, you said?
Yeah,
Tell us
my
a
own
little
business
bit
for
about
10
it.
years, but I've been in healthcare management for 40 years.
Oh,
Oh,
so
wow.
tell us just a little bit about your own business.
I own a company with my daughter. It's called In Motion Rehab, and we provide physical and occupational therapy services to um, a lot of the inner city elderly and geriatric patients and some of the Section 8 housing and some Medicaid assisted living homes. And started with my daughter, and she just has a heart for the population that not all the therapy companies want to work with. And it's really a ministry for us. We love it. We have some great employees, 19 employees, and we've been in business almost 11 years. And we're just very thankful, very thankful.
Well, that's
That's
really
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
I coming from the arena of serving women who don't always have avenues for things like that. That was
Right.
so special to me.
Yeah.
And you
Thank
go
you.
to First Baptist Canton.
First Baptist Canton, love it.
Uh,
Involved with the choir there and the mission team. We're putting together a trip to go to Boston right now to reach out and work with the homeless and some addicts. And I'm really, really thankful for that opportunity and looking forward to that. So
yeah,
That's
Sunday was
amazing.
really good to hear you tell about the trip.
yeah, yeah.
And I was sitting there trying to count if I could go. So I
Good.
would
Come
love to
on.
go. I can't seem to get out of town. But thank you so much for being a part of Crossroads.
I love it. It's a joy.
We love you. And then we have Melissa Deane, who is
Hi.
my baby girl. And she's here today to tell her story,
Yes.
her childhood,
Yeah.
where she crossed a line and went somewhere she shouldn't have.
All the crossed lines.
All the cross lines.
And there were many.
Many. But then you found the line that took you back to God.
Yes.
And I'm super excited for our audience to hear that.
Thank
So
you.
start and tell us just a little bit about your childhood.
Okay. Well, my childhood was pretty good. I mean, I spent summers in New York with my grandparents when I was really young. I think that stopped when I was probably 9 or 10. We moved to Brandon because my grandparents actually moved to Brandon. But during that time, we were living in South Jackson. My parents had some things going on, and they were really wrapped up in that. And it kind of left me and my brother in places like, maybe not top priority. And so my brother started acting out once we moved to Brandon. He met some people, and he went to juvenile detention center. Eventually, he went to Oakley. And during that time, everybody was just waiting for the other shoe to drop for me to start doing something. And at first, I did not. I was still trying to, be good. I was the goody two shoes of the family at that time,
I
believe
can
it or
see
not.
that.
And so when I did start being bad, I was getting no attention. So I was trying to get attention. And that was the fastest way. My brother got a lot of attention for being bad, so I knew that I would. And but a lot of the times I wouldn't even get caught. Like most of the time I was just stepping out and doing things. I started collecting like witchcraft books, and
Mm.
I would only go to church on Wednesday nights to meet up with some of my friends and smoke in the alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And and then they had a youth retreat. During that youth retreat, we went to, I think it's the Blue Lagoon in Tennessee, and we stayed on a Christian campus. And I brought my witchcraft books and candles.
Oh,
Some of
wow.
the candles I'd stole from the very church that we were there with. Found them under like the altar and
Mm-hmm.
everything, just like a little hideaway area. And I got caught because we were mooning the students out of our
Oh,
window in our
goodness.
dorm room. Yeah. So when our counselors came up to see what we had going on,
Mm-hmm.
they found all this stuff, and they took it and they burned it, and they did like this is like an exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call it. Maybe that's not what it was, but I felt something. And I found God in that moment. I found this unexplainable peace, and it stayed with me. The whole rest of the time I was there, it was a beautiful thing. But I had no foundation.
Yeah.
I went home, and when I got home, I returned to my same heathen friends, and they said that I was brainwashed. They said that God wouldn't send me to hell for smoking a cigarette and come on, smoke a cigarette. So I said, "You're right, he won't." So, I smoked that cigarette. And I had, without that foundation, I did not know that I was, disobeying my parents, disobeying God, doing all of that, and doing it intentionally because I knew that there was no consequence. God wasn't going to send me to hell for that, and that's like one of the worst things you can do is be like, I know you're not do nothing about it,
No, you're
but I
right.
didn't know that then. I didn't have all the background, all the relationship with
Right.
God. And that didn't come until much, much later. Because once that moment hit, I began this journey that ended with me heavily addicted to cocaine. When I was 17, I moved out of my parents' house and got my own place with my husband. And I had a really hard time quitting cocaine, but it took over control of me. And I got so angry that I had that loss of control
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to stop doing it.
Yeah.
I just stopped doing
Makes
cocaine cold
sense.
turkey.
Right.
And then I was pregnant like 2 months later. And then it was, I'm not going to do drugs like that again because of
Mm-hmm.
my kids.
Yeah.
I have this child now, I have all this responsibility. And when I started having kids, they started prescribing me pain medicine. So
Mm.
the pain medicine I started taking just daily, the way a doctor would prescribe it. I didn't have a prescription anymore, but I would take it that way. I'd buy it off the streets and just, I was doing it the way a doctor would give it to me. So that's how I like justified it in my mind. And I became a functioning addict.
Do you think that even though you forced yourself to quit doing the cocaine, we kind of talked about
We did talk
this,
about that.
that it was good that you quit the drug,
It
but
was.
mentally you weren't really what I would call sober minded.
No,
No.
I was not sober minded. I was in no way ready to take on the world in any kind of sober way. My thinking was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I didn't realize just how wrong it was. I was still very much, petty, vindictive, all these things that are not of the kingdom, you know, and I didn't know that these things were on me like that.
Yeah.
So I was probably very much not present with my kids, you
Mm.
know. I was very much worried about worldly things, and it's crazy to look back on that now. And actually, me and Brianna were talking about that earlier. Is I didn't see it back then, and just how much the world mattered
Yeah.
to me.
How old were your kids back then?
Well, at that time that we're talking about doing the cocaine, I had gotten sober. So Nathan was just born. That's my oldest, my 20-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was just born. That was the first of the three. But
Right.
as time went on, and I had more, and I had no idea that I had this spiritual malady. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I was still angry at God. I remember at one time, I had prayed when I had snuck out of the house and gone skinny dipping, and I had prayed to God. I was like, "Hey, God, get me out of this," And I was caught when I got home, and I was spanked, and I felt like God had turned his back on me again. I
Right.
just couldn't find him anymore. And so I'd just been angry at God for all this time.
Do you think that was because I kind of know you a little bit,
Mhm.
because you're kind of black and white, you know,
Okay.
and so you thought, well, I'm obeying the rules, but you really didn't have a contrite heart, a good heart toward it. You were just doing the thing.
Well, no. I mean, okay, so I wasn't obeying the rules though.
A little bit you were,
When I stopped doing cocaine, I did. I
Yeah.
was in a way, yes.
but even when you were taking the pain pills, I don't think you really
No, I didn't see that as
saw
a.
that
Yeah.
as a.
I didn't. I thought I was.
You
I
didn't
thought it
think
was okay.
Yeah, you didn't realize you were jumping off in the deep, deep end of the ocean.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I justified it so many different ways. I had no idea I was just keeping my foot in the door of
Mhm.
addiction until it could come and get me again.
Yeah.
Right.
And all it took was for me to be severely overwhelmed for that to happen. And as my story goes on, that is what happened.
Yeah.
You know. So I had my first baby. I decided I wanted a divorce. But we continued to live together, co-parent. My ex-husband's niece and nephew were about to be in the care of the state. And I remember his mother came over and she was like, "Hey, um, the kids are about to be in the custody of the state. Your sister's, had a hair follicle and it's going to be positive for methamphetamines." And she said, I'm not taking them. So I just need to know if y'all are or if they will be in the custody of the state. And we were actually in the process of, splitting houses again.
Mhm.
And so we decided to stay for the children.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, my 3 kids became 5.
Yep.
Wow.
So my ex-husband was not super present, and not that I was either. I was mentally checked out with everything with that I was doing. I was really busy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 5
Yeah.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and he helped with the bills and he came home and he sat down and he watched TV and played on his phone. You know. And it got to the point where I was really really overwhelmed.
And the two, your niece and nephew,
Mhm.
were not these cute little
No,
cuddly
they were
kids.
older teenage
Yeah.
kids and their hormones coming up.
Mhm.
And I had a girl, but she was 4,
Mhm.
and and had not experienced a teenage girl yet, other than me. Never had to deal with me before.
And those kids had been through a lot.
They had
Yeah.
been through a lot. They had been separated from their parents. That puts them through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that I went through the classes to be a foster parent, and that does not prepare you for that. It just doesn't. And they even tell you they're going to lash out. They're going to, do these things. And so when they do them, though, and you're like, okay, I'm prepared for, no, you are not.
Right.
And everybody responds differently. And I've known these kids since they were babies. One of them since she was, 9 months old, and the other one since the day he was born.
Right.
And I just expected, I guess, maybe something different. Was offended when that
Warm
didn't
fuzzies.
happen.
You didn't get any warm fuzzies.
Right. No thank yous, no gratefulness for, helping, I guess.
So where did this lead?
That led to me spiraling for sure. I started taking like Xanax and stuff, and then I would drink sometimes. And I thought that that was okay too, you know, because it was just sometimes.
Yeah.
But I was trying to stop taking like the pain medicine and stuff. And I was not, like, I told my family that, or my mom, and she was aware that I was struggling. I couldn't stop taking the pain pills, you know? And by the end of it, I'd been, you know, in a bar fight with my ex-husband. We were both foster parents for the state, and they don't really, you know, like it for their foster parents to be drunk bar fighting in the parking lot of a bar. So
That's a
Obviously.
good thing.
yeah, yeah. So of course, then a bright light was shined on us, and they decided to remove the custody of our children, you know, for the what do you call it, the safety plan. And I felt like it was over. You know,
Yeah.
it was just absolutely over. I wasn't good enough to have kids anymore. Like, and I spiraled so much more. And they did a hair follicle with no opiates in my system. However, occasionally I did like go to my brother's house and play cards and do meth, and that showed up in my hair.
Mm.
And so that removed them for another 6 months until I could take 3 random drug tests and do that plan, right? So I did the 3 random drug tests and passed all of them. And we got to the day of court, the night before, I had done cocaine.
Oh, no.
It was very much self-sabotage. But I also didn't think that they were going to drug test me on the court date. You know, I was celebrating because I had made it. I was about to get my kids back. And, I didn't really have a problem anyway.
Oh,
Right.
Right.
I
So
just see the unraveling in your life, and you're just thinking you're okay.
I
but
did.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought that I didn't really have a problem. Everybody was overreacting.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what they saw, but I was doing great.
Yeah.
And it took a long, long time for me to see that I was not in a great place during that time, you know. And I went from thinking that, you know, I was in an okay place, you know, I had that, to then, well, you know, maybe I was at a crossroads, and if things had happened this way, then I wouldn't have spiraled and that kind of thing, because I wasn't doing it all the time. And now I'm like, I think that it was a slippery slope from the beginning straight down, you know, into the pit. So
Well, you think about how many women and guys fall into that treachery of, well, it's not so bad. I'm not doing it all the time.
yeah,
I'm not doing cocaine. I'm just taking a few pain pills now.
and I'm just taking them the way the doctor would prescribe
What
them
the
to me
doctor
anyway.
prescribed,
Exactly.
you know.
One a day.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
That's
you know,
really how I
I'm just doing
justified
a
it.
little math while we play cards.
Yep.
And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all gonna,
It's all in fun.
everybody is going to eventually hit a brick wall with that.
Yeah,
It's going to take you down. And it took you down.
it did. It did. It took me down.
What was your lowest?
My lowest was I've slept in abandoned houses. Usually ones I was burglarizing, but I've slept in abandoned houses. I've slept in the back of U-Hauls that I was using to empty out those houses and things like that. So that was probably my lowest.
And I'm guessing you had lost your kids at that point.
Oh yeah, no, I hadn't had them in years by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just getting worse.
And you had no idea how to get it back.
Right, right. And I felt like every time I tried, something else happened. I just wasn't good enough. I couldn't do it. You know.
And so fast forward us a little bit to where you went to jail a couple of times. And
Actually,
then
we're right there right now with
right
that U-Haul.
there. Yep.
So I stole a U-Haul.
Just there's a
Just
part
go
of
for
me-
big, right?
Yeah. I stole a U-Haul because I was stealing from one side of the state of Mississippi, and I was driving stuff to Mobile. And in a U-Haul that I stole from Mobile, and
Yeah.
I was pawning it there so that I wouldn't get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I
Until-
took that first load over there, though, they were waiting on that U-Haul to come back to Alabama. And I mean, I stopped and got something to eat, and then I stopped at the pawn shop, and they surrounded me, you know?
Mm.
And
And you're going like, "What? What'd I
yeah, I was like, I rented this. So they knew better, and they took me to jail in Mobile, Alabama. Now, while I was in Mobile, Alabama, on identity theft and possession of a stolen vehicle, um, I got an attorney visit. And when I went in there, there were some investigators that did not look like attorneys. And they wanted to know about some house that had been being robbed, and I had no idea. Um, and a tractor that had been stolen. And what happened? And all these cases are resolved, by the way. But I had gotten arrested another time for a short period of time for uttering forgery, and I sold a stolen tractor from that same property to pay my bond to get me out. And when they came to get me out, they had it on the trailer in the parking lot of the jail I was at. And I was like, "Do I need to sign something so we can leave?" Because they didn't know it was stolen. And I didn't know they were bringing it before they got me. So, but they wanted to find that tractor is what these investigators wanted to do. And they came from Mississippi to Alabama. And this was during COVID, so they kicked them out at like 2 for a break between 2 to 4, and they were very angry about that. But they pulled me back out at 4, and we talked about it. And they asked if I made any phone calls, and I had. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell them where the stuff is. Y'all just leave it there.
Yeah.
And I did. That's what I did,
Mhm.
And I was honest with the investigator, but I was not copping to the tractor because they had no evidence really. But they still, somebody told on me. But I spent a year, a month, and 4 days on those charges initially.
And that was in Alabama.
That was in Alabama. Well, 4 months came back to Mississippi of the year, month, and 4 days.
Got it.
And I traveled to 2 other facilities, going over these charges.
Mhm.
And I
'Cause you pretty much had a destructive path by then.
I did. I
But you couldn't
did.
just clean up one charge. You had this and
Right.
that.
And it was crazy because they were all, I'd never been in any real legal trouble before. I had
Mhm.
like 1 DUI and nothing else. And so all of my criminal charges all happened at the same time and were considered first offenses. So, because, I was I guess, in court for them all at the same time.
Seems
So-
like God really had his hand on you for a long time because it's almost like he'd let you go so far
So far.
and then he'd smack you.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
loving ways so that you didn't go too deep,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm so grateful that he loves us enough to give us some, letting us do our thing, but loves us enough to kind of
Pull us back.
pull us back,
Yes.
keep that final curtain from falling. But eventually you did end up in prison.
I did.
CMCF.
With that last charge with the tractor and stuff, they wanted to send me to prison then, and they put me on like a front end diversion.
Mhm.
So I was on the house arrest bracelet,
Mhm.
and then I paroled off of it, and they violated that parole on some false charges that weren't real life, but they violated on that, and I ended up in prison. But I was not living right at that time.
Yep.
And when I got out of the jail the last time, I had decided that I was going to listen to God. And then when I went to jail the second time, and I heard Peter talking about keep your eyes on God, when he's coming out of the boat. I was
Yeah.
like, eyes and ears. Okay. I missed it. That's what it was, I just missed something.
Yeah.
But I definitely missed something. But admitting I had missed something helped me be prepared to learn something.
Well, I guess you kind of felt like, hey, I'm just not doing well here, and
yeah,
it's time for me to stop. I hear that a lot of time with girls.
Yeah.
especially in their 30s. It's kind of like, hey, I got to get something right
It's
here.
time.
It's time.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
kind of where, because you said that you told me that you started journaling because you
Yes,
had
I did.
so much rage and anger in you.
I did.
And
I
yeah,
started telling God all kind of crazy things. Although at the time, I don't know who I was talking to, if I was just talking to me, but I was saying crazy things in this journal, and I was just very angry. And during that time, when my thoughts became more coherent and cohesive on these, notebooks, it became part of what I now call my God stuff that I do
yeah,
every night. And I write to God and I do my devotionals and um I I remember that is when during that time that vision of me telling my friend that God wouldn't send me to hell and I took that cigarette because that's the last time I saw God.
yeah,
And I guess I could feel him when I
hmm
started talking to him and I cuz I had not thought about that day. I was 15 then and I was 36 when I went to jail this last time. 'Cause I've been with you guys for 2 years.
So how did the two of you connect? How did you connect with Crossroads?
Okay. God told me to go to Crossroads.
He
while
said the
she was in
words?
Yes,
prison.
while I was in prison. Okay, so I got to prison, and I didn't do drugs because I don't want to owe anybody anything. It was totally a pride thing. But also I didn't want to get to know anybody there, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was talking to God. That's all I knew, and I was telling him, hey, if you can show me something different, because I didn't believe that I could do anything different after the things I'd done.
Right.
And I remember I've been waiting on someone to go to church with me because I did not want to go by myself. I just sat on my rack all the time and read books. I read 8 novels in 7 days. And yeah, until I went to Flowood and I could work. But I finally went to church and I saw one of my very good friends from when I was in jail at church. And her new little group of friends that was there, I'll never forget it. They said, "You need to leave everything on the coast behind and go to Crossroads." And I said, "On the coast?" They said, "No, up here." And I said, "Well, how long's the program?" They said, "4 months." I said, "No, I'm not doing that. Why
Too
would I?
long.
That's way too long." So then, when I did intake in prison, I done it with a friend,
Yeah.
and she had went through Crossroads, and we were in the shower, and I told her what the girl at church had said, and she
Uh-huh.
said, "That's where I went. I'm telling you, it's great. You've got to go there." And I just immediately started crying. So, because I just knew that was my confirmation. That was
Right.
my understanding that God was saying this is your path. And because I shouldn't have felt like that's where I was going. I would never think that I would go to a rehab. I've never been to one before. And I was like, okay. I cried all night that night. All night. And when I went to Flowood, I went straight to that chaplain and I was like, I have to apply to this Crossroads place. And she was like, you got to wait till you're, closer to 3 months,
Mhm.
to leaving. And I said,
Right.
my ERS is coming up. It's, the 30 for 30 is
Mhm.
going to shorten it. She said, well, let's wait. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do it if I wait, you know?
Mhm.
Right.
And when I try to explain to people the inner battle that I faced every day, because I was like, I could just go home. Because my mom was going to approve her address for me so
Mhm.
that I could just go home. I mean, I would have
Right.
lived with
A
her. I'd have been on
huge
the streets.
temptation.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But I was like, why would I want to go somewhere for 4 months that I would be uncomfortable? I didn't know that I was ready. And I really fought it until the very day that they were like, no, you're leaving and you're going to Crossroads. And I was like, okay, thank God. Because I was in there going, you know what, I'll just leave when I flat time
Yeah.
and go home. And because that was like coming up together. But then I got to Crossroads and it was different. I still didn't know really what I was doing, but I was still talking to God every day. And as time went on and I was taking in everything I was getting, because, I told Vicky that I thought that once I got to Crossroad, they were going to give me like a place to live, a car.
Oh.
my kids, they would help me get my kids back.
Yeah.
And turns out that they just, give you the tools you need to do it yourself. Because this is
Mhm.
not work somebody can do for you.
No.
And so I had to accept that I had work to do. Once I did that, everything else was water under the bridge. I was ready to learn it. I wanted anything they had to offer me, and I took it. So by about 2.5, 3 months, getting close to graduation, I told Vicky, I was like, it's kind of short. This program's a little short.
So you wanted to stay.
I wanted to stay
A
longer.
lot of women do.
Yeah.
They do.
And
Where
she's
before 4 months sounded like a lifetime.
It did. It really
Yeah.
did. But once I realized the peace and the space I had to learn and grow,
Heal.
heal, yeah, I didn't want to leave it.
So what surprised you the most about Crossroads once you got settled in? What were you not expecting?
Well, first and foremost, I never expected to be trusted to do anything again, ever. Like
Mhm.
I didn't actually think that I would be, driving the van for Crossroads. I didn't think that I'd be watching the girls when we went to celebrate recovery. That I would be mentoring, But when I first got settled in, I did not expect for them to just let me heal, you know, let me do it my way,
Mhm.
and they didn't try to make me take in the classes, or anything like that. They let it be my decision, and I think that that's very important because if it hadn't been my decision, I would not have done it. You do have to sit in your seat in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
nothing's like
you don't
crammed down
actually,
your throat.
right, you
Yeah.
don't have to participate, in the way that I did. But
Mhm.
most of the girls do,
Yeah.
They do.
I
Yeah.
can still see you. I know the place you sat at the table, and I would watch you. And I promise you, I could see the little light bulbs going off in your head. Bing, 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 bing. Because God was just growing you so quickly.
Yeah.
And that's why we trusted you, because sometimes what you can't see in yourself, God's people can. Because I just saw a great woman of faith that was coming. She was still a little immature, but she was coming at a freight train rate. And I was just thrilled to have you there. And
It's
you're
amazing.
still
Yeah, you
growing.
do see that.
You
Yeah.
see it.
And you've been there long enough now. You're a
You
leader
see it.
now. You see it in some of
I
the women.
love seeing it. That's my
Yeah,
favorite part
I
of
know. It
being
is.
still associated with Crossroads and
Yeah,
working with the women is I love seeing it.
seeing it.
When you
Sometimes we
see it in
don't
their
see it,
eyes, it's
Sometimes we don't
and
see
that's
it.
sad. But for when we do, even when they can't see it, well, how do you see that in me? They'll ask me, and it's hard for me to explain, but I just can't.
Yeah.
you can.
You
It's the
really
spirit of
can.
the Lord.
It
It
is.
is.
And then you finished your 4 months,
I
and you
did.
went to aftercare, which
I did.
I remember you told me, I didn't think I'd do this, but I'm going to do it. I
Yeah.
need this.
Yeah.
And how long did you stay with us?
I did go on to independent, your next
Yes.
phase of living. But I stayed almost a whole, I just left
Yeah.
in April of this year,
Yeah.
and I came in August of 2024.
Yeah.
That's how long I've been with you.
And what I love is how what you said was, we weren't going to do these things for you, but
Yeah.
you did those things.
Yeah.
You took your time.
Yes.
You went through the program. You stayed a little while at aftercare. Got your feet up under you. We had the opening at the Independent. You
Mhm.
went there.
Yeah.
You got settled in there while you were
Yes.
continually working on seeing your children, which
Mhm.
was a big thing.
Yes.
Forming relationships back with your mom and your
Mhm.
family,
Yes.
and them seeing the change in you. And you just you saved your money, you bought a car,
Yep.
you got a good job, you got a
Yes.
promotion at job,
A couple of promotions
couple,
at my job.
just to see you take that, you talk about cross lines. It's just like one right after another for the good.
That's true.
And that's all been in 2 years.
Yes.
That's crazy.
That is
God is
crazy.
so good.
And
He's
she has
really
custody
blessed.
of her kids back
I
That's
do.
and her
amazing.
own house
That is
Yes.
so
and a
amazing.
paid for car. She
Yes.
paid attention to the financial classes.
I did. I had a little, well, the finance class was a funny story because I had just gotten there and they ended that finance class.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I've always been pretty book smart. So I read from that first week, and when they took their final the following week, I passed mine with excellence. Not one question was wrong. Well, the teacher wouldn't give that to me. He said, "No, I'm going to make you take the class." Well, he went on a mission trip. So
Mhm.
when he came back, I was like, "Hey." So he said, "I tell you what, read the book."
I remember that.
Yep.
Mhm.
And go over it. And I did. I read it. I took notes on every chapter. And then I came back and talked to him about it. And until he was satisfied, he didn't give me my excellence. But I kept working at it.
Mhm.
Right.
I wanted it.
That's your perseverance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She likes to set the bar high for herself.
Uh-huh. I
Yes.
can tell.
Yeah.
I used to beat myself down hard if I didn't make that bar, but I have since learned. I don't know if you've noticed, I've gotten a lot better about it. I really used to beat
Giving
myself
yourself
up.
some grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have learned to give myself grace, and I have learned that one failure does not mean I have failed at everything
No.
and that I'm done with life. And, it was the end of the world. That was one of the lies, that I believed, that one failure meant I was a failure.
I knew you were taking your sobriety serious when you got to independent living and you continued and you had your car
Yeah.
and you continued going to CR at the point and you
Yes.
didn't miss and you tried to get other girls to go because I leave that as a choice,
I know.
and you chose and you have given your testimony at Rankin County Jail.
Yeah.
God is opening so many doors for you to tell your story
Yeah.
of hope because you traveled a road that was hard, and you were hard headed,
Yeah.
because you just didn't see the sin and the depravity that you were allowing in your life. You just couldn't see it.
Mm-mm.
And when you turned around and looked at that, it humbled you.
Yeah.
Some people, it makes them hard. Like, I didn't do that, but you weren't like that. It humbled you. And you
Yes.
said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to find another path. And you yourself sought that. And that's what it's got to be, Melissa.
Yes.
And I am so, so excited for your path that you took.
Thank you. Thank you so
Well, I'm
much.
excited to see the way that she's taken all that the Lord's taught her and all the
Mhm.
love she's been given and the encouragement. And now she's turned that.
Mhm.
And I see her encouraging other women.
All the
And I
time.
see you loving on other women. I pull up to those doors sometime and I see you. I see you standing outside with your arm around somebody,
Yeah.
encouraging. And it
I
just,
love them.
I'm telling you, I know it's just such a blessing. As a volunteer at Crossroads, I came thinking that I was going to be able to share the Lord with them and encourage them, but I've been encouraged by them so much more than I think I ever am
Yeah.
to them. I mean, they just
No,
bless
I
me
feel the
and
same way.
grow me and stretch me, and it's such an honor
It
to
was
be able to
amazing when
pour
they
into the women.
considered me a volunteer. I was like,
What?
I'm a volunteer.
She is going to very soon in the near future going to be leading our Big Sister, Little Sister mentor
Yes.
group.
Yeah.
Yes. For the last year, I had at least one, if not two girls that I mentored every week, the same
Right.
ones until their program was up. And then, and now we're starting the new Big Sister
Yeah.
program very soon.
Yeah.
And what would you say to women, they're girls because, I'm so old, but
Yeah.
to young women who find themselves in that trap of doing a little this, crossing the line here, crossing the line there, I'm
Thinking
okay.
they're good.
But so what would you say to the young women out there of how hard you fail and how through seeking God, He was there for you. What would you give them advice to do?
Wow. I would, well, I tell them all kinds of things now, depending on the situation. But if it comes to doing a little of this and thinking, well, it's okay, I just did it now,
Uh-huh.
and doing a little of that and things like that, I would say think, remember to enjoy the little things in life, and also remember to keep an eye on the little things that you're doing that are just maybe not that bad. Because it may not be that bad right now for that one little thing, but as it adds up, you begin to not like the picture of yourself
Yeah.
anymore. And it turns into, it starts looking like anger. It starts looking like lashing out at your kids. It starts to look like, taking it another step farther,
Yeah.
until you've gone so far you think you can't go back.
Well, that rebellion leads to destruction, and
Rebellion does lead to
it looks different for every woman out
it
there,
it does.
and we all think it could never be me.
It always
We
can.
do.
The smallest rebellion that I made by just smoking a cigarette made me lose sight of God. And in my mind, he had turned his back on me, and I couldn't at that time understand how I had turned my back on him. And when you get to the point 30 years later or whatever, and you see, that you could have done something differently if you hadn't
Mm-hmm.
done just that one little thing, your life could be different. You wouldn't have had to go to prison. You wouldn't have had to be in jail for all that time and away from your kids and things like that. God, if you follow Jesus, you cannot go wrong. He's never going to lead you on a path
Right.
that is going to hurt you in any way. But he will lead you to growth.
Yes. And He's answered so many prayers.
Yes.
Just at your new house you had, because we prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed.
Yes.
Getting the kids in a good school district.
I have learned all about obedience and how you know what, not even what God does for me in my obedience. I mean, I think it would happen either way,
Mhm.
but I am not it's so hard to explain. I feel good
Mhm.
being obedient to God. It doesn't matter what I get from it because it feels right. That is what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, it didn't used to feel right. It felt foreign to me. It felt like I was doing something uncomfortable, which growth can be uncomfortable, but it is so worth it.
Yep.
When obedience grows out of a love relationship with Jesus Christ, it is a joy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though it's not always easy, it's
Mm-mm.
a joy.
Yes.
Perseverance is
Mhm.
something I think He says he values obedience rather than a sacrifice.
Right.
Yes.
It's that perseverance that keeps us in the place where He can bless us.
Well, I fell in love with God throughout this process, and someone said, does God know that you love him? And I was like, yeah, right. And they were like, well, how does he know? And I was like, I'm a baby Christian again. And they were like, obedience.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, then let me show him. Because
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
what I wanted. I fell
Yeah.
in love with God, and I wanted him to know.
Yep.
And
That's beautiful.
that's what I
Yeah.
started doing, is just being obedient.
So
And
beautiful.
and I did things that I never thought that I would do.
Yeah.
I've done things that I thought I was too scared to do. I have told my testimony a couple of times standing in front of people, which is terrifying to me. To me, this is more,
Okay.
It's more
comfortable,
intimate.
intimate.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
But when you get up and you stand there with a microphone and you see everybody,
It's intimidating sometimes, but even God gives you courage for that.
he does.
God always makes you brave. I've seen it over
Mhm.
and over again.
Yes.
It's just His grace. It's
Yes.
sufficient, just as Paul told us, for whatever our needs are.
That's right. That's right. I told somebody one time, I said, I've gotten to the point where I've grown so much in uncomfortable situations that if I feel like God is calling me to something uncomfortable, I roll my shoulders and I'm like, let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Dive in.
Yes.
Well, thank y'all so much. Time's going near, and if you've enjoyed Melissa's story today, crossroadsms.org, info@crossroadsms.org is a place that you can send an email and ask her
Mhm.
questions. And I cannot wait to have more and more women tell how God set that pathway straight and the lines began to be good lines that people were crossing. Thank you, Melissa, and
You're
thank you,
Awesome.
Diane.
Thank you, Vicky, for all you've done and for your vision.
I
Mm.
know.
None of this would be possible without the vision that the Lord gave you and the encouragement He gave you, and you just
Yes.
stepping out in obedience,
Yep.
even
It-
in a scary place. Just
Yeah.
like Melissa said, she
Yeah.
was scared to step out and do some of the things you did, and I know you were terrified when you started Crossroads.
Sometimes.
But
Yes.
look back now, what,
Yeah.
18 years,
Yeah.
how the Lord has blessed your ministry, His ministry through you,
It's
and
his.
grown it from 4 women to what, 5 or 6 houses now.
Yeah.
So,
And if there's one thing I've learned is that uh, God loves his daughters.
yes.
I know he loves his sons, but I kind of think he has a daddy always has a special place for his daughter.
Right.
Yes.
And I do believe that. And I believe that he cherishes each girl that comes through our door. And I want to give them nothing but God's excellence for their life.
Yes.
Now they have to grab hold and
They
do
gotta
that
do the
stuff for
work.
yeah.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for joining
you.
us today. God bless you all.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Melissa. Thanks for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story.
You're welcome. Thank y'all for having me.
Lives are being restored at Crossroads Ministries. We are asking for your support where your giving is giving a second chance. For more information, visit our website at crossroadsms.org and please donate today. May God bless you for blessing others.